to welcome you all to Sister Barak Hussein from Ottawa, Canada, so from my side of the world. Sister Barak Hussein is a registered psychotherapist and the founder of Serene Nafs Wellness. She holds a BA in psychology and a master's in educational counseling. She's also known as the Muslim counselor. Barak is a passionate and dynamic speaker on mental health, social justice, Islamic and women's issues, and poetry. Through her work, she bridges the worlds of psychology and spirituality, inspiring others to heal, grow, and empower themselves. Let us all welcome Sister Barak with a loud salawat. I don't see you.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
Should I rotate it?
Maybe this way? This way. Can we have a second loud salawat? Third, in your loudest of voices, in honor of Imam Ali alayhi salam, who we're honoring tonight, inshallah, with our program.
Yeah?
It's showing backwards, isn't it? The words, are they showing backwards? Let me check on the screen.
Sorry, we're trying to do it live at the same time. You want to see yourself?
Okay, fix it.
Perfect. Perfect.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا وحبيب قلوبنا أبا القاسم محمد وعلى آل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Thank you for your patience, my sisters, aunties, inshallah, those of us who are not here today, inshallah, will soon join us live. The voice loud and clear, you can hear it? Yes. Inshallah. It's an honor to be here amongst you. Just came back from Umrah. Prayed for you all there, inshallah. We saw the crack in the wall where our beloved Imam Ali alayhi salam was born. Inshallah, we can bring those blessings here tonight, this lovely evening. We can all benefit in a different way from connecting with this special dua that we're going to talk about. So tonight, I want you to take out your phones, your notebooks. I see that already. That's great. It's going to be somewhat interactive. I do bribe my audience with goodies. I have Diara stuff. Got Canadian stuff as well. So inshallah, we can engage together and embark on a transformative journey, inshallah, weaving together the spiritual power of Dua Kumayl with the deep understanding of modern psychological principles. And as a therapist, one of the things I've learned is that the greatest challenge we face in our healing journey is not just the pain that we endure, but how we perceive it and how we respond to it. So this is where Dua Kumayl comes in. It's not just a supplication. It's a roadmap for the healing of the soul. When we recite Dua Kumayl, we are not only asking for Allah's mercy, but we're also confronting our own weaknesses, our fears, and our vulnerabilities. So this process mirrors the therapeutic process. And I often walk my clients through this, acknowledging our emotional wounds, expressing your deepest truths, and ultimately healing through connection. So this dua, it reflects this process powerfully and in a very real way. This is where we can find the healing through the words, inshallah. So the dua is not simply a list of requests for us, right? It's a psychological and spiritual roadmap. It is a guided journey through the emotional landscape of us human beings. I asked those of you who are here, why don't you come closer so we can be together? A lot of people, oh, is it because of the wall? If it's for your comfort for the wall, that's fine. I just thought it'd be good if we kind of just get close together, inshallah. So in psychology, we often talk about helping people locate or find themselves, right? Emotionally. So many clients come into therapy saying, I don't even know what I'm feeling anymore, right? So this dua, what it does, this is how it will work for us. It names what lives inside of us, inside of our nafs, inside of our soul, inside of our qalb, inside of our aql, before we even know how to say it. So notice how Imam Ali alayhi salam begins, not with fear, not with guilt, which are the human emotions that we always carry, right? Not with punishment, but with what? Rahmah, compassion. Allahumma inni as'aluka bi rahmatika allati wasi'at kullu shay. Oh Allah, I ask you by your mercy, which encompasses all things. This is profoundly important. Why? Because healing, whether spiritual or psychological, cannot begin without safety. And before the soul confesses, it must feel held, safe, not judged. I want you to really focus step by step as we go through this together tonight. Because I guarantee you have not looked at Dua Kumayl this way before. This is the first time I'm presenting it to you. That's why. I had a lot of fun thinking about this and putting it together, and I'm really happy to share these insights together. And I want to hear yours as well. But I want you to go step by step as we bring up the different parts of the dua. Let's mirror it to what a healing process can look like in a therapeutic atmosphere, office, or inshallah, this safe space that we are creating here today. You may feel triggered, meaning you may remember something from your own past, your own pain that could come up. Don't ignore it. Let the tears come down. Let the emotions come out here. Because inshallah, we're in a safe space, and I know the center has done events on mental health. I've been here before talking about mental health. So inshallah, we're going to be open in our hearts, because that's the only way you will truly benefit and take away from it. When you open your heart to it, let your emotions out. We're here to support one another in rahmah, inshallah. In trauma psychology, we know that a person cannot process pain unless our nervous system, so this is the system that is the fight or flight system that we jump when there's an emergency, when there's something that's urgent, we jump. Our body reacts and responds to the environment around us, including emotional safety. So this nervous system, if it doesn't feel safe, then we can't process pain, because then you'll always be in survival mode. I may be using examples that I personally dealt with clinically, that I've seen in people as well, and you may connect and relate, whether you personally or people around you. Could be things that us women, although I did suggest that this lecture be both for men and women, inshallah, next time, because all can benefit from it. Perhaps it could be an abusive relationship, meaning friends, family, a partner. Could be a work relationship. Could be anything that weighs heavily on you, in you, and can impact you, right? So we need to feel that safety. And Imam Ali alayhi salam, he establishes that safety immediately, because mercy comes first, always. And as the dua unfolds, we see that the full emotional spectrum of the human soul of these aspects here. Awareness of wrongdoing, fear of consequences, longing for closure, exhaustion from struggle, and finally, what? Finally what?
Relief.
And?
Mercy.
Keep going?
Closure.
Hope. Amen. Hope. This is coming back here, I'm not getting it out yet. And so this is why Dua Kumayl feels so personal to us, because it mirrors what many of us carry quietly inside, but rarely articulates. It tells us your inner chaos has a language, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already knows it and understands it. So here, this sets the foundation of everything else we will be discussing this evening, inshaAllah. Dua Kumayl is not random. It is ordered, it is intentional, and deeply aligned with the human psyche of healing. SubhanAllah. Very powerful. So Bismillah. Let's begin. When we take a look at wounds, and I see this all the time, in therapy, people around me, my own. And I see this especially amongst religious people who follow either the rituals, who practice faith and spirituality. It's not sin. It's not the halal haram. What do you suppose it is? What do you suppose it is? What does a religious person carry when they do something wrong? Guilt and shame. Yes. So many people believe that if they admit weakness, they lose their worth. That if they struggle, they are failing spirituality. Dua Kumayl completely dismantles this belief. Listen to how Imam Ali alayhi salam speaks about himself. وَأَنَا الْعَبْدُ الضَّعِيفُ الذَّلِيلَ الْحَقِيرُ الْمِسْكِينُ. And I am the weak, lowly, insignificant, poor servant. What do you suppose that means when you first hear that? The Imam is saying that about himself. And he is a ma'soom. What do you suppose that means? Hands up, prize coming. Bride. What is the Imam talking about here?
Humbling himself.
Humbling? What else? Who said that, by the way? Humbling. What else?
Showing his vulnerability. Showing vulnerability.
Vulnerability, yes. Is this self-hatred? This is truth spoken without violence, right? Auntie, this is a bracelet, sabha. You can do tasbih like this. From Imam Hussein in Karbala. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So in psychology, healing begins when a person can name their internal experiences honestly, without judgment and without attacking themselves. In psychology, this is also called being mindful. I'm sure you've heard this word. Observing your emotions and feelings and your thoughts with little judgment and criticism. It's like watching a cloud go by. When a cloud goes by, are you judging it? Or are you just observing it as it floats by? This is how we can begin, by being honest without judging ourselves, right? So healing begins when a person can name that internal experience, like we said, and the Imam models this centuries before psychology and therapy existed in the form that we have today. And in my work, when a client finally says to me, I'm tired, I feel small, I don't feel strong anymore, this is not collapse, this is not weakness, this is the beginning of healing. Because you are admitting internally what is happening. So Dua Kumayl teaches us that weakness does not cancel worth. Vulnerability does not disqualify us from the divine love. In fact, it becomes the bridge, the wisal, the connection. That weakness that we feel, it's the start. It's the vulnerability, it's the humbling, right? So this dua gives people permission to stop performing strength and putting on a front and start telling the truth before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and within themselves, right? And so when self-worth is rebuilt on mercy rather than perfection, because we're always striving towards perfection. How many of you push yourself so hard, everything has to be perfect? Your clothes, the food, right? Do you have a wrinkle in your hijab? No, yeah, I hate that too, but you know what, I accept it. It's gonna happen. I washed and ironed this from Canada, and I got here and it's like all over again. Iron it out, that's fine. It doesn't have to be perfect. These are small examples. But when you apply this in your life, that strive towards perfection can sometimes be an obsession that can cause anxiety and limits you from doing your best because you're so focused on that. Tonight we're taking a step back from perfection. It is not for us. It's for the ma'soomeen, Allah, al-kamil. We are not perfect. But I'll teach you a little secret. I'll share with you, write this down. Everybody, any age, from your age to our respected aunties, I will do my best, and Allah will do, it rhymes, the best. Write it down. Put this as a mantra in front of you. I will do my best, and He will do the rest. What is this also called, by the way? Tawakkul, ahsantum, that reliance. So here, again, that perfection. When self-worth is rebuilt on mercy rather than perfection, something profound shifts within us. The soul relaxes, the heart softens, and then healing becomes possible, inshallah. So, let's look at Dua Kumayl as therapy. Actual therapy. And I think we're beyond the aib, taboo, it's shameful to go to therapy phase, otherwise I wouldn't be here talking to you. I've been doing this now for 20 years, alhamdulillah. When I first started my journey, till this year, 20 years. I think it's past time as Muslims, we put it behind us, that it's shameful to get spiritual or therapeutic support. When I'm proving to you again tonight how therapy and psychology is in our faith that has been here 1400 years ago, right? So, let's look at this framework. This dua, for those of us who've forgotten or not too sure about this dua, I'll give you a little bit of background. It was given by Imam Ali alayhi salam to his companion. Which companion? Kumail, which is who it's named after. Kumail ibn Ziyad, in a moment of profound spiritual instruction. The Imam understood the human condition deeply. Not only our theology, but our psychology, our fears, our weaknesses, and our longing for closeness, whether it's amongst each other and to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what he offered us was not just a supplication, but an actual therapeutic framework, a way for the soul to encounter itself honestly in the presence of divine mercy. So when you and I read or listen to Dua Kumayl through a psychological lens, because I suggested and I recommended we do this first, and then we recite the dua. Because you're going to go into the dua with a different feel and thought and perspective. So when we look at it through the psychological lens, which stands out most, is how closely it mirrors the healing process, what we see in therapy. I'm not going to put you on the spot and say who's been in therapy, although I have. I'm a therapist and I have a therapist, because I need it with the messy things that I see. So, when you are in that therapy, for any of you who have gone or not sure how it is, this is what it can look like. Healing is rarely instant or linear. You don't heal like this. It's not overnight. It unfolds in phases. And remarkably, what we see, Dua Kumayl, it guides us through the same phases step by step. Number one, acknowledgement, that naming this wound that we pain, that we hold, the pain, without denial. Right? How many of us know or seen pain, and then we just ignore, we deny, we push it, and we just put it under the rug, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it explodes in front of you. Family problems, work, within yourself, right? Think of your own challenges. When you do not admit, what happens to it? I always use the analogy of a beach ball. You push it in the water, you push it, and then all of a sudden, boom! Hits you hard in the face. Because you're denying, you're ignoring it, you're pushing it. However, if you face it and you acknowledge it, let's look what it looks like. The first phase of Dua Kumayl asks us to confront our vulnerabilities. The Imam names weakness, fear, failure, and human limitation without denial and without collapse. This mirrors the first step of therapy, acknowledgement. Healing does not begin with fixing. It begins with seeing. I acknowledge. Sometimes it's shameful. It could be something that you're doing to hurt others, perhaps. You're hurting your nafs as well. ظَلَمْتُ نَفْسِي, right? So in therapy, we help people name what hurts. For those of you who are not sure what therapy is, this is a great opportunity to understand it from a spiritual perspective. We help people name what is hurting them, what feels broken, and what they've been carrying silently. This dua does exactly that. It gives the believer the language to say, I am not weak. I am struggling. I am not okay. And this is not self-criticism or condemning yourself. It is self-awareness. And without awareness, healing cannot begin. So we're all in agreement. Number one step is acknowledgement. Ahsantum. Number two, expression, giving voice to what is hidden. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. As the supplication progresses, Dua Kumayl invites expression. It speaks what is often buried: regret, longing, exhaustion, fear of loss. In therapy, expression is one of the most healing acts a person can experience, especially when pain or trauma has gone unspoken. Can you imagine living for years pain that you just pushed aside, just so you can get on, so you can survive, you can live in the moment? I met someone recently through 2 divorces they experienced. Over a decade since the first, and then 6 years. Years of not talking about their pain. And it just came out. And they prevented themselves from the opportunity of meeting somebody that could have brought that sakina that Allah promises us in the Quran, because they refused to talk about their pain. That's not being strong or courageous. That's weakness, in my opinion. Because you're pushing it aside. You're not doing what the Imam is asking us to do in this dua, acknowledge faith. We need to change the shift. We need to shift the way we look at how we hold pain. And so what remains unexpressed doesn't disappear. It becomes internalized. And so this dua, it creates a space where the heart is allowed to speak freely, without interruption, without judgment. And here, the believer is not just acknowledging pain, they are releasing it through relationship. Number 3, connection from fear of punishment to fear of separation. Then something very important happens in this dua. The focus then shifts. Connection, in this part, it shifts. Okay? Not to punishment alone, but to closeness.
Can I ask a question before you move on to
Sure.
expression? When you're talking about expression, how do you identify the difference between pain and trauma? Because pain would be...
Pain is from trauma.
So what's the difference? Like, how do you connect the two? Or explain it.
Okay, so pain is what you carry from the experience of the trauma. Does that make sense now? So trauma is the experience of an event that happened that you hold, and within you, your response to that trauma is pain. It could be fear, right? It could be fear, it could be anxiety, it could be, essentially you put it under the term pain. But trauma is the event that happened to you, right? But these days trauma is used as just like a what's the word, pop culture. It's used loosely. I have trauma, my parents yelled at me, this, you know what, toughen up a little bit here. Not everything that your parents did for you is your trauma today. You take ownership, you also acknowledge that your parents did the best they could with what they had and the little knowledge they had with the trauma they also experienced. We have to also hold space for that. This, mind you, is separate from those parents who were abusive. We can't excuse that. But I've heard some parents say, that is all I've ever known. Because that's what they experienced as a child. That's all they knew, so then they repeated the cycle. So then the trauma cycle continues. Does that make sense? Okay. So here, the question comes, in this part of connection, it's not about punishment anymore at all, okay? It's not to punish, but to seek that closeness. So how do I endure separation from you? That line in the dua. This is deeply, deeply psychological language. Who can connect that to a psychological term? Starts with an A. How can I endure separation from you? Starts with A. Canadian chocolate on the carburetor. Starts with A. It's also a pop word that's used around a lot.
Anxiety.
Attachment. Listen to the words again. How can I endure separation from you? Attachment. Don't we seek that attachment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whom is the only entity we should be seeking attachment from? Not people, not money, not things, not food. Oh, I love my food. brings me joy. But when you attach outside of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Quran, the Prophet, du'as, the Ahl Bayt, Salamullah alayhim, do you not feel pain when you attach to anything other than those things, right? So in therapy, we know that what wounds people most deeply is not pain itself, but abandonment, disconnection, and the loss of safety. Dua Kumayl reveals that the soul's deepest fear is not suffering, it is separation. The supplicant is not running from Allah, they are clinging to Allah. So this phase mirrors the therapeutic relationship itself, where healing occurs in the presence of a safe, attuned connection. The dua teaches us that Allah is not only believed in, He is emotionally turned towards. So, number 4, hope. Restructuring the inner narrative that we have within us. Finally, it teaches us and it reaches its most healing phase of hope. The words in the dua, you are too generous to abandon one whom you have nurtured. From a therapeutic standpoint, this line is extraordinary. It directly challenges the core wounds that people carry with them. Of what? I will be discarded. I am not worthy. I am too broken. I am a waste. I'm not good enough. We've all said these words, right? So Imam Ali alayhi salam, he replaces these beliefs with a new truth. You are nurtured. You are held. You are not abandoned. And so in psychology, we call this cognitive and emotional restructuring. Big words. The Dua teaches us that. And it is rooted here in divine mercy. So the inner critic is softened. The narrative of worthlessness is rewritten. Hope is restored, not because the person is suddenly perfect, because we said take that out the window. Perfection doesn't exist. But because the person and mercy has always been present. You just haven't seen it. You haven't believed it. So let's close the arc here now. This was, by the way, just the introduction. I haven't gotten into it yet. We're going to go deep into this. And if the men leave, we're still here till we finish. Because we are not running on Khoja time today. We did Iraqi Pakistani time. Don't get insulted. We all know it's true. I have a Pakistani in my family. I'm Iraqi. I try to be Khoja with time though. I'm Khoja everything else. Organization, time management, all that stuff. It comes a time I'm still Iraqi. So tonight's journey is not about learning something new. We grew up with the words of Dua Kumayl, hearing it in our mother's tombs. But it's about remembering something true. Healing is not the path to worthiness. Healing is the result of being already held by mercy. The mercy, the compassion that we forget. Dua Kumayl does not wait for us to be healed before it offers compassion. It heals us because compassion was already there. It starts with that. So let's get into details for each section and all these parts. Before I do, any questions or comments, thoughts, reflections? Because that was a very good question you asked. Yeah? Good? Bismillah. So number 1, the very first step we said of healing in therapy is acknowledgement. It is not fixing, it is not changing, it is just seeing, openly without judgment. And most people avoid this step. Why? Because they fear they will find and what they will find inside themselves. Right? The Imam teaches us that healing begins when we stop running from the truth of our inner states. This line from Dua Kumayl is not self-condemning, it is self-aware. Right? وَأَنَا الْعَبْدُ الضَّعِيفُ الذَّلِيلُ الْحَقِيرُ الْمِسْكِينُ. He is teaching us how to stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without masks. He names weakness without drama, without collapse, and without that self-hatred. Remember earlier what we said, it's not self-condemning. I've often thought about that. When I was younger and I didn't quite make this connection. Those are heavy words to put on ourselves. We're really hating on ourselves. No, it's not self-hating. It's self-awareness, right? And so in my therapy work, I often tell clients, you don't need to heal what you refuse. You don't heal what you refuse to acknowledge. And this gives us the language for that acknowledgement, the dua. I'm tired, I'm struggling. It tells us something very radical. That acknowledging weakness, it doesn't take away from your worth. You are still dignified. Why? Because Allah created you. You clearly have worth and value that Allah created you in this dunya, for this dunya. Huh? Are you looking at yourself a little bit differently now? You clearly have worth and value. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided to create you. I recognize some faces here, beautiful souls. This stage here, like we said earlier, it calms our nervous system. We're humbling ourselves because this honesty, it replaces that internal struggle that we have, that tension. The soul no longer has to be strong and performative. Expression. We know that acknowledgement alone, it's not enough because that healing requires the expression. In trauma therapy, like we said earlier, unspoken pain stays trapped in our body and in our hearts. Those of you who carry trauma, or those of you who have heard or read, it's okay, we're allowed to share today. Where do you feel this pain? I feel it here in my chest, here in my throat. Where do you feel it? You feel it here? Yeah. Hard to speak when you've been choked for so long. Where else do you feel it in your body? Here, your shoulders, your neck. You're carrying the weight of the world here, aren't you? Where else do you feel trauma in your body, perhaps? Stomach? Yeah. Why? The gut is there. Our nerves are connected to the brain and the heart. It feels, they say that the gut is the second brain. So much research now has been done on the gut and its benefits and how mental wellness is connected to that. Where else do you feel pain in your body that perhaps?
The back.
The back. Again, the weight of the world pushes you down, right? Be aware of where pain is in your body. Inshallah, tonight, bit by bit, we'll start releasing. I do a mindfulness meditation that can help release pain. Maybe if we have time later after the dua, if we're up to it, we can do it, inshallah. I'll leave it to you to remind me. So what the dua does here shows us that what is not expressed, it doesn't disappear. It stays in our body. It festers, becomes illnesses. It could become stomach ulcers. What happens? A little side thing here. When stress is constantly built up in our bodies and we're not relieving our bodies of it. Stress hormones are released into our body. They start harming our body. They physically make us ill. Which is why some people end up getting all sorts of illnesses, heart problems, cardiovascular diseases, even cancer. Because the body cannot handle the continuous release of stress. It affects you in some way or another. So what happens here? It festers and grows. So what does dua do? This model, it models emotional expression beautifully. Imam Ali does not summarize pain. He doesn't invalidate it and push it aside. What does he do? He speaks it. He names regret. He names shame. He names fear. And he does so in relationship, not alone. وَكَمْ مِنْ قَبِيحٍ سَتَرْتُهُ وَكَمْ مِنْ فَادِحٍ مِنَ الْبَلَاءِ أَقَلْتَهُ. So powerful. How many deeds you have concealed, how many grave afflictions you have lifted. Acknowledging an expression here. And so in therapy, one of the most healing moments is when a person finally feels heard without judgment. The dua gives us that experience with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And notice how the dua recognizes past wounds and reliefs. How many ugly deeds and wounds, right? You've concealed those. and how many grave afflictions you have lifted. Because what happens, it recognizes the pains and the reliefs, right? Pain that could have destroyed us, that afflicted us. Mistakes that could have been exposed. Satartuhu, you covered it. Consequences that were softened. Could have been much worse. This is emotional processing. It allows the soul to do this. Exhale. So expression here is not complaint. It is relational honesty. It's not so powerful? Isn't that so powerful? SubhanAllah. The third one, connection. This is one of the most psychologically sophisticated lines in all of our supplications. The greatest fear expressed here is not pain. What did we say earlier? The attachment of separation, the disconnection. Huh? فهبني صبرت على عذابك فكيف أصبر على فراقك. From an attachment perspective, this tells us something essential about the human soul. When the closeness feels threatened, the nervous system panics. We know this in our relationships. We fight with our partner. We feel they're going to leave us. Our parents, our loved ones, friendships. You do or say something at work. You don't do well in school. Don't you feel the fear of separation, rejection? Don't you feel activated, your body, your heart palpitates, you feel nervous, you feel anxious? Yeah? Yeah, this is what's happening here. So SubhanAllah, with Allah here, it is essential about our soul because we are wired for this closeness. Allah tells us this in the Quran. We created you, divided you amongst nations to know one another. I'm paraphrasing, right? And the ayah about marriage, about pairs, finding mercy and sakina. Did he ever say love, by the way? And we bring up the word soulmate and all that kind of stuff. These are Western ideas. Look at our faith, how it taught us from before. Mawadda, rahma, litaskunu ilayha, sakina, serenity, tranquility, peace. SubhanAllah, how we have this all wrong, right? Maybe, inshallah, another day we can do a topic on that because it's so powerful. It also changes expectations that we have of marriage and relationships of people around us because we've been brought up with this idea of what love should be living in this world, right? In this part of the world especially. And it's all about lust and desire and romance. That comes, it comes, I promise you. But it's almost like this expectation that and then we get married and it doesn't happen. And this huge disillusionment occurs. How many of us have experienced that, right? Only me? Put your hands up. Come on, be honest. Not just marriage, but relationships, friendships, right? You go into it with an expectation, it doesn't happen. Then you feel pain, disappointment. We've all felt that. I see it on your faces, don't lie. I've been told I can read people, and it unnerves people. And you're laughing and you're trying to hide it. I'm not a mind reader or fortune teller, but I can do it. 20 years, I think, yeah, alhamdulillah. So from an attachment perspective, like we said, our system panics when we feel a rejection coming. In therapy, people often say, I can survive hardship, but I can't survive being alone. I don't want to be alone. Honestly, being alone without the headache is so much better. Alone doesn't mean lonely. There's a difference. Being alone
It's better than being with the wrong one.
better than being with the wrong one. Santi. I don't mean just marriage, by the way. Friends, toxic friends around you, environment, work, school, anything. Being alone is more dignified and honorable to your soul than exposing it to those who are not valuing it. You find closeness with Allah and you never feel lonely. SubhanAllah. And Imam Ali alayhi salam articulates that same truth in spirituality. Because this dua teaches us that Allah is not just a judge, He is an attachment figure. Like I said earlier, attach yourself to Him. Not to brand names and looks and trying to get things with money you don't have to impress people. Who cares? It's like trying to put on a wedding and you have to have this and you have to have that and this color and this and this and this and this. Is it a marriage or a wedding? People are going to come talk about your makeup, your clothes, the food, anyway. So you do what you want for you in this case, that you want. But essentially it's the marriage that is important, not the wedding. Example
They
here.
go into that as well and they strain the marriage.
Like, what's the point of starting that, right? Starting your life in debt to people who are going to talk about you anyways, right? Just so I'm straight up, I'm very Canadian, very Iraqi, I'm very unapologetic. And it's taken me years to get to this point. It doesn't mean I'm being rude. It doesn't mean I'm not respecting. It means I have my truth, I am confident in it, I believe in it, and I'm not apologetic. And it doesn't bother me if I offend people. But I'm not being rude. And this is an attitude as women we must strive and embody. Because then we become doormats for people to walk upon us. And your soul, and this is not a Western idea, huh? Because my soul has a haqq over me that my imams taught me. And it's an amana that I have to give back to Allah. In what state? In what state? So you see the difference? Huh? This requires another session. But we see it here, right? That Allah is the only attachment figure that we need. A source of safety, consistency, and emotional holding. And this is where deep healing happens. When fear transforms into longing, and longing into connection. So number 4, hope. Let's look at this line. فأنت أكرم من أن تضيع من ربيته. This line here, you are too generous to abandon one whom you have nurtured. Look at this. This is the emotional climax of Dua Kumayl. After acknowledgement, expression, and connection, hope. Hope comes in here. In therapy, we call this core belief repair. Core belief repair. Many people carry the belief, I'm too broken, I'm not good enough, I'm a waste, it's too late for me, I will never find a connection with somebody after marrying 2-3 wrong people, for example, or cutting off friendships and so on and so forth, or getting fired. The Imam answers that belief directly. Allah does not abandon what He nurtures. Allah. How beautiful is that? Healing is not a sign that you are worthy. It is proof that you were always worthy. You were always held. Hope here is not denial. It is grounded, it is earned and compassionate. This is the moment the soul, and I hope you're feeling this too, as I'm very animated with this, because I'm feeling it, begins to soften. I see your body language is softer. Your faces have also softened. The smiles, I see some pink cheeks too. You're being impacted, inshallah. This is the moment the soul begins to soften. The inner critic that is harming us and hurting us quiets. And the heart believes again. Very powerful. And here we see the key healing themes in Dua Kumayl. It addresses psychological reflections, vulnerability, trauma, absolutely, attachment and esteem, self-esteem. One of the core psychological processes in healing is confronting our shadow self. Have you heard of that word before? Our shadow, our inner shadow, the negativity, what's hidden, right? That nafs that is hidden. The hidden or suppressed parts of ourselves that we may not want to face. That's our shadow self. The dua, what does it do? It beautifully addresses this by asking us to confess our faults and vulnerabilities. Have you heard in the Catholic faith when they go to the priest and confess? Right? Have you seen in the movies or ever, how long have you confessed my son or daughter? How many times a day do we have that opportunity to confess? At minimum 5 times. How many times a day do we say, Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh? It's like God is giving us the green card, reset, 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 to cleanse and purify your soul. And then we have every Thursday night this beautiful opportunity to bare our souls to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and confess, right? And by bringing these hidden aspects of our soul, the shadow self, into the light, we begin the healing journey of integration. We're bringing it all together. Secondly, Dua Kumayl helps foster a safe attachment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How many of you have experienced in your life mom coming into your room, get up, or there's a fire, get up, oh, and then you get up, what? Where's the fire? In hell if you don't get up and pray. I use this example, we laugh, but there's so much psychology behind it. This mother is conditioning the relationship to Allah through fear. How many of us have done that to our own kids? Haram. You're like, haram? Policing all the time. When your salah should be the most beautiful part of our connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know what I do with my daughter when she was very young? She's turning 15 and she's taller than me. SubhanAllah. But when she was that age, Mama, do you want to come pray with me? I don't say get up and pray with me. It's not wajib yet. Mama, do you want to come and pray with me? Okay. She has a matching chadar. Matching prayer mat, but cute and small. Matching turba and sibha. And she would sit next to me. My mom did that with me, and she made this for my daughter. And so I would have her sit next to me, even if she doesn't feel like praying. Mama, do you want to pray with me? No? Okay, Mama, come sit next to me. Just sitting on the sajjada next to me, or taking a sibha and do dhikr. After salah, you know what she would do? And she tried that the other day. We almost ripped it. She lifted up the chadar, and she came and sat inside of the chadar, pretending to be inside my stomach again. I know, isn't that so cute? And she kept doing that, and up until 2 weeks ago, she still did it. But she's taller than me now, so her feet are like this, sticking out under the chadar. The beauty of that is that we created a connection of safety and love and compassion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the obligation of salah. We made it warm, moments of love. We look forward to salah as a beautiful attachment between mother and daughter, healthy, but also love to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Instead of the mom getting up, screaming, fire in your room, get up. Jahannam if you don't get up to pray. That's fear-based. Haram policing will turn your children away, will turn you away from your faith, your obligations like hijab. Proper hijab, not fashion hijab, proper hijab, which can still be fashionable. Wouldn't you say I'm pretty fashionable right now? Right? Modest, coverage, looks good. I choose my style. I don't follow trends. I make the trends for me. My point being, it has to be created with love. If you're reflecting upon yourself, ooh, I'm kind of doing that with my kids, this is an opportunity to reflect and change it around. You don't want to push your kids away from faith. And those of you who experience this, well, you have to understand the limitations of your family and your parents, and you have to discover in your own journey and finding that connection and reconditioning yourself to create a healthy attachment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala based on love and mercy. So, in therapeutic terms, attachment theory teaches us that the quality of our early relationships with our parents, our community, and so on and so forth, they shape how we connect with others, especially our parents. Trust and a relationship with our parents early, it shapes the relationship of ourselves in the world around us. So we here, when we recognize Allah's merciful presence in our lives, we are building secure attachment with the divine, which has now profound effects on how we view ourselves and the world. The third powerful theme in Dua Kumayl is speaking the unspeakable, the deepest pain and trauma that we hold inside. It's one thing to feel pain, and it's another to speak about it. Remember I just told you about the person I recently met? And the pain they carried for years, which prevented them from letting go, healing, and finding the right partner. Right? You need to speak about things openly. The Dua allows that. So this is one of the most cathartic aspects of therapy when you talk to somebody. It's giving voice to our inner struggles. And Dua Kumail offers a space for this as it becomes a channel to express our hidden griefs, sorrows, and regrets. And finally, the Dua emphasizes radical hope. This is a psychotherapeutic term. Radical hope. It asks for forgiveness and mercy from Allah, reminding us that no matter how far we have strayed, there is always an opportunity to return with forgiveness. And hope is an essential essence of healing. And our dua here, it embodies this hope beautifully. So let's do a little bit of an exercise before we finish up and walk into this dua with presence, inshallah. Let's do a personal reflection. I'd like everyone here to take a moment to pick one line from Dua Kumayl that has always stood out for you. If you have the book, look it up on the phone, or from your own memory. Do we have the du'as here that perhaps we can pass around? You have the munajats here? No? Take it out on your phone? Or just from your memory? I want you to do a reflection. So pick a moment, a line, could be one word from the dua that really stood out to you. Perhaps it's a line that resonated. Okay, a line that resonated deeply, or one that touched on a hidden emotion. Write it down. Pick it out, write it down, and reflect on these questions. What does it heal in you? What does this line heal in you? So take a moment to reflect. What does this line heal in me? Do for me? What does it heal in me? Has everybody been able to find something about the dua that strikes them? What does it heal in you? What strikes you? If not heal, if you can't connect with healing, what is it that you connect with this line or this word? And if you're comfortable, it would be wonderful if you could share it with the people around you, discuss it around you. And then we'd love to hear it together. So when you're done, sharing, of course. And start sharing.
I know. Don't if it's you that tells it.
How are you?
You too. How are you? It's coming
How are we doing? All right, let's bring it all together. All right, are we going to be doing some sharing now? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Okay, for those of you who have to go, listen to Dua Kumayl on your way back home. Okay, so who would like to share some reflections? I heard some really beautiful ones. And although they can seem very surface level, they're so deep. So what are some reflections that you found were very human to you? A specific line or something from the dua that really struck you? Okay, time to bribe. Chocolate Canadian on the line here. Can I have a volunteer? What struck you? What struck you? Yes, go ahead. I need you to speak out loud and everybody just give her the chance to speak out loud. Go ahead.
For me, the verse was Yasari Arida.
Ya Sari' al-Rida.
Yes, all he whose pleasure is very quickly achieved. It makes me think of like a little child. The reason why is because when a child gets angry, they don't get angry for long. Us as adults, we hold grudges for ages.
Right.
But with a child, after a few minutes or a few hours, they just come back to you like nothing's ever happened.
Right.
So when I look at that verse, it makes me think that no matter what I've done, I know God's not going to be angry with me for long.
That's
will forgive me.
beautiful. That is so proud. We have a loud salawat. Ahsanti, ahsanti. Can we have another reflection? That was beautiful. That's very softening of the heart. There's a lot of mercy there, right? And it really helps you put things into perspective that Allah is absolutely merciful and He does answer our call, right? Okay. Next reflection. Is this off now? Next reflection. Yes.
You know the line, ظلمت نفسي?
ظلمت
I wronged
نفسي.
myself. I used to always connect it to the sins I would commit.
Right.
Because I wronged my nafs. But then when we talked about the pain and where we carry the pain, I pointed here because I always feel like that's where I carry the weight of the world on my shoulders.
Right.
And I realized that by carrying that pain, I am doing that ظلمت نفسي through that.
You are oppressing
Yeah.
yourself
Yeah.
unknowingly.
Yeah.
So
So it's
this-
not just about sins, it's also about this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we oppress our soul, not just committing sins. So when you reflect that way and you shift it, you notice the weight lifted off your neck? Yeah, it's acknowledgement of the things that I do that I shouldn't be doing, is harming my soul. So what can I do to alleviate that? And we did the whole thing, right? With the acknowledgement and then the processing of it, where we get to the healing. Ahsanti. Another reflection, yes.
I actually had the same verse as well.
Yes?
So for me, it's like I feel like I have to give myself grace and forgive myself for the past decisions and the past things that happened, and to know that I didn't know any better at the time for whatever happened. So forgiving myself and relieving myself from that, letting go.
Letting go. Yeah. It's not worth holding on to that pain, right? There was a beautiful reflection done earlier that the sisters were saying, you know, the verse that's almost like revenge. You know which one I'm talking about? أَمَنْ أَرَادَنِي بِسُوءٍ فَأَرَدْ. Right? Whoever wishes me harm, give it upon them. And the sister said, but are we supposed to give 70 excuses? And my response was, and Allah is just. We get our justice. And then the question came back, so then why do we hold on to our pain then? When Allah is telling us He's going to give us justice. That's a really powerful way of letting go of pain. If Allah is telling you He's going to give you that justice, tawakkul, and we let it go, we leave it to Him. That's very powerful. Any other reflections? Maybe from that side of the room? I'm looking straight at you, sis. Look what she's doing. This woman massaged my legs in arba'in like you cannot believe. Bless her hands. Yes. She can help massage your soul as well with her beautiful smile. So any reflections on that side of the room? Anything that struck you? Somebody said something here? I have nobody else but you. Remember when we talked about attachment earlier? How we attach ourselves to things, to people around us that are transient, that are temporary, that are going to go. When you attach yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that also helps alleviate pain. It helps in your healing. Because you know you're going to get that light in your heart. That feeling when you walk, perhaps the walk of arba'in, when you walk into the haram and you see the haram and you hold on and you talk to God through His wasila. That feeling that comes over you, when you're attaching, you are actually attaching onto them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So powerful in healing. Thank you. Yes.
Allahumma firli dhunub allati taqta'u al-raja. Oh Allah, forgive me those sins which cut down the hopes
Allah.
of, for the mercy and forgiveness.
And also cut rizq and
Yeah, and all the problems we are facing.
yeah.
Sometimes we stop believing that things will be alright, and we keep reminding. So make my belief stronger.
Yeah.
Just leave things on Allah, whatever is right for us will happen.
In other words, I will do my best.
And you take
Allah will do the rest. When you know you have done your absolute best in whatever task you have ahead of you, and you go into that test, whatever it is, knowing that He's got you, tell us, whatever comes out of it, you've done your best. Alhamdulillah. Very powerful. Thank you. Anyone else before we wrap up? Because I know you want your chai. And Mandazi, do you have any? No. One of my favorite fudge sweets, Mandazi. Last reflection? Last reflection, and I will give you a turba that was in Umrah, fresh from Umrah. Those wallet ones that you put, I'll still give it to you, it's okay. You still have one, don't worry. But I'd like somebody to reflect. One last reflection as we wrap up. Yes.
Mine is that ayat from the Quran that says, ask me. So, not CD, but the one that says, ask me, and I will answer you.
I will answer you.
So I will respond to you. So that,
How is that healing for you?
like, that's what gave, when I first started listening to Dua Kumayl in English, that kind of thing gave me certainty that He's there to respond. He will respond.
Alhamdulillah. That certainty in Allah is that form of attachment that can help lower your anxieties when you know He's got your back. You know physically when we have friends around us who've got our backs or family, you know that feeling that you get? Imagine when you leave that up to Him, how powerful that feeling is, right? Alhamdulillah. Center. So, as we wrap up and finish, inshallah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. I know sometimes it's hard to share, although we didn't get into specific examples, right? I want to leave you with this final reflection, inshallah. That healing is not about erasing the wounds that we carry and that we've had from our traumas, right? But learning from them. Something that I've learned in my 20 years of doing this work and in life in general is that Allah will keep putting the same lesson again and again and again in different ways to different people until you learn. Huh? Have you noticed that? He will keep doing the same thing over and over again until you learn that lesson. So we need to learn. We need to learn from the wounds that we carry. This dua reminds us that our flaws and imperfections, they are part of our journey. They don't define us. They are part of our journey. This is being self-compassionate. When understanding they are part of our journey, they don't define us. And each of you here, okay, is a work of mercy, crafted by Allah's love, which is what I said earlier. You clearly are worthy to be here because He brought you here. He created you. It has been there all along. And so even in our weakest moments, the dua invites us to embrace Allah's boundless mercy. Your pain, your struggles, your imperfections, they are all part of your growth. You are not defined by your flaws, but by your capacity for growth, healing, and your connection and relationship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The dua teaches us that no matter what we have been through, there's always room for mercy, healing, and transformation, inshallah. And may Allah bless all of us, inshallah, with the ability to truly heal, both spiritually and psychologically. And I want you to thank yourselves for showing yourselves today, being present today, for interacting, for reflecting. And inshallah, you can take this, anything that you've taken tonight from this sacred space, from the sacred moments, inshallah, of healing together, into your night, week, days, and months to come, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. If you have any questions, we're going to turn off the live and we can get into the fun questions if you want. Otherwise, if there are no questions, inshallah, we'll begin to do the dua.